Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Building an API gateway for microservices using YARP, yet another reverse proxy, is a great way to centralize the management of your microservices. YARP is a project from Microsoft that allows you to create reverse proxy servers in .NET. This tutorial will guide you through the process of creating an API gateway using YARP with a simple example. Prerequisites. 1. .NET SDK, make sure you have the .NET SDK installed, version 5.0 or later. 2. IDE, you can use Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, or any other IDE that supports .NET development. Step 1. Create a new project. 1. Open your terminal or command prompt. 2. Create a new directory for your project. Bash. mkdir YARP API Gateway. cd YARP API Gateway. 3. Create a new ASP.NET Core Web application. Bash. .NET New Web N API Gateway. cd API Gateway. Step 2. Add YARP nuget package. Add the YARP nuget package to your project. Bash. .NET add package YARP.reverse proxy. Step 3. Configure YARP in startup. Open the startup.cs file and configure YARP. You will set up routes and clusters in the configuration. Sharp. Using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.Builder. Using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.Hosting. Using Microsoft.Extensions.Dependency Injection. Using Microsoft.Extensions.Hosting. Using YARP.Reverse Proxy.Transforms. Public class startup. Public void configure services, iService collection services. Services.add reverse proxy. Load from config, configuration.get section, reverse proxy. Public void configure, iApplication Builder app, iWeb host environment env. If, env.is development. App use developer exception page. App user outing. App use endpoints, endpoints equals. Endpoints.map reverse proxy. Step 4, configure the app settings.json. You need to configure routes and clusters in app settings.json. Update your app settings.json file to include configuration for YARP. JSON. Reverse proxy. Routes. Route 1. Cluster ID, cluster 1. Match condition. Path, /service1/catch-all. Route 2. Cluster ID, cluster 2. Match condition. Path, /service2/catch-all. Clusters. Cluster 1. Destinations. Destination 1. Address, http://localhost 5001/. Cluster 2. Destinations. Destination 2. Address, http://localhost 5002/. In this configuration, Service 1 will route requests to a microservice running on http://localhost 5001/. Service 2 will route requests to a microservice running on http://localhost 5002/. Step 5, create sample microservices. For demonstration purposes, create 2 simple microservices. You can create them in separate directories. Service 1. 1. Create a new ASP.NET Core Web API project. Bash. .NET New Web API and Service 1. CD Service 1. 2. Modify Weather Forecast Controller.cs to return a simple message. Sharp. API Controller. Root, Controller. Public class weather forecast controller, controller base. HTTP GET. Public IAction result GET. Return OK, hello from service 1. 3 run service 1. Bash. .NET run. Service 2. 1 create another ASP.NET Core Web API project. Bash. .NET New Web API and Service 2. CD Service 2. 2 modify weather forecast controller.cs similarly. YARP. API controller. Root, controller. Public class weather forecast controller, controller base. HTTP GET. Public IAction result GET. Return OK, hello from service 2. 3 run service 2. Bash. .NET run. Step 6, run the API gateway. 1 go back to the API gateway project directory. 2 run the API gateway. Bash. .NET run. Step 7, testing the API gateway. Now that everything is set up, you can test the API gateway. Use a tool like Postman or curl. 1 for service 1. Bash. Curl http://localhost 5000/service 1. 2 for service 2. Bash. Curl http://localhost 5000/service 2. You should see responses from the respective microservices. Conclusion. You have successfully created an API gateway using YARP for microservices. This setup allows you to manage routes centrally and can be expanded with features like authentication, logging, and more. YARP is highly configurable and can be tailored to meet the needs of your microservices architecture. Further enhancements. Consider adding authentication and authorization. Implement logging and monitoring. Add error handling and retry policies. Explore advanced YARP configurations like transforms and route conditions. This setup provides a solid foundation for building a microservices architecture using YARP as an API gateway.